In this video, we will walk through every critical step of the life cycle of Amazon product. And at every step, we will learn how to optimize PPC so that you get the most profits and best conversions. And my guest today is Chris Rawlings. Hello, Chris. Could you introduce yourself and tell us how you help Amazon sellers?
Yeah, my name's Chris Rawlings. I've been in the seller space since 2015. I started my own seven-figure brand back in 2015, grew it throughout 2016, 2017, then started to help other brands grow and invest in other brands. And now I have, I run Sophie Society, where we help brands and partner with brands to help them get more traffic through professional data-focused PPC management. And we help them convert more of that traffic through conversion-focused content. So we grow brands on Amazon. That's what we do. I've overseen 2,000 product launches on Amazon. I've helped over 500 brands grow, either my own or another brand or a partner brand or an invested brand. So been in the space for a while. I'm also a mentor in the Titan Network, which I see as the best mastermind in the Amazon space right now, in their top group of sellers, the 7 and 8 figure sellers. And so I nerd out on this. This is where I spend all my time doing.
Yeah, so what we will be talking today, in short.
Yeah, so today is a really cool one, a really special one. You guys are super lucky who have dialed in, because we've never shown this before. I'm basically going to be walking you through an infinite zoom map that we use internally to train our own people about how product life cycles work. And you're going to be able to step way out of your day to day and see what an entire product life visually looks like on Amazon, and what to focus on and what to do at each stage of life of an Amazon product. And it's gonna get, so for some of you guys who have never seen this or been through an exercise like this before, it's gonna completely blow your minds. You're gonna understand a lot more about your product, your brand, and the industry as a whole, and these aggregators, and why multiples are going up, and what kind of products are attractive, and which ones aren't, because this gives you kind of a perspective that sees the whole forest, rather than being stuck in the trees, so to speak. So
Right.
it'll be pretty exciting.
Cool. I see Zach is already happy, amazing, and he's from Egypt. We have someone from Barcelona. So
Oh, nice.
let's
Love Barcelona.
let's just jump into the content, and I think we're ready to go deep dive. And by the way, if you are interested in what Chris is doing, you will find the links below in the description as well, so you can contact him if you want his help. And also, while Chris is sharing his screen, I wanted to say that at any time of this session, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to click like and subscribe below this video. So, Chris, what is your screen?
All right. So can you guys see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what you're looking at is an infinitely zoomable map of an entire product life cycle on Amazon. And what I'm going to do through this session is walk you through each of the stages and each of the sub stages, and every element of it, the key metrics to look at, how to know what stage you're in, what to focus on, what type of campaigns to run, how to set up your PPC, what a typical product looks like at this cycle, and a lot of other factors that are relevant to your product lifecycle stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the biggest, and we're going to zoom in stages. Okay. So basically, a lot of you guys probably think of your products in a similar way to this. Maybe some of you have never seen anything like this, but I like to kind of think of it as the Big Bang. And again, this is an internal map that we use, just for our own sake, and I use it for myself, just as a reference, especially when we're working with a new brand, to see what life cycle stage, the brand is currently at, so we can act appropriately to take them to the next level. So the general idea is you have the launch phase. Okay, this is when your brand is your product is an infant. Okay, that's a 60 to 100 day period, and we're going to go into what that entails. Then you step into the expansion phase. This is a 6 to 24 month period, depending on how long you stay in there and how big your niche is and how long it will take you to get market share. But the reality is some products will actually never leave this stage. There are a lot of products that'll be stuck in the expansion stage forever. And that's actually very common. And then finally, there is the harvest stage. These are the types of products that aggregators buy. These are cash cows that are cemented in their place. And this period can last 2 to 5 years, or even longer for a space that doesn't innovate very, very much. In electronics, it might be closer to the 2-year period, maybe even less. But in home decor, could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And so after that, there's another stage that's not represented here, which is product decline or product aging, where if a product does become outdated or it doesn't keep up with the main focus that we're going to go into during this video, it can actually go back and become elderly and weak again, and eventually die. But it is possible to avoid that, and there is no set limit on how long the harvesting phase can last. So that's the whole picture. Now that we've done that, we're going to go into what each stage even means. Okay, so I'm going to start to zoom in on this map here. Let's go into the launch phase. And first, we're going to focus on just what it means to be in the phase. Then I'm going to go into the actual mechanics and metrics and focus and details of each phase. Okay. Again, I like to think of this as the Big Bang. There's like this inception period where the product goes live, right? And then things happen really, really fast, really quick. Things are changing. Things are happening super fast. And then you continue to expand, but the expansion slows, just like the Big Bang. For you physics nerds out there, I actually majored in physics. I have a degree in physics. And so that's kind of where I came up with this visual. And then the expansion slows and it cools and becomes more steady, right? So the launch phase. What is the launch phase? This is the 60 to 100 day period directly after the product goes live on Amazon. During the launch phase, you are establishing rank, getting sales velocity. Your target, your goal, one of the major goals is to achieve profitable TACOS. TACOS stands for total advertising cost of sale. That means your total advertising spend divided by your total sales, organic plus advertising. So another way to put that is, what percentage of a unit's revenue are you spending on Amazon advertising on average across all units? So if I have a $100 product and on average I'm spending $12 per unit on advertising, averaged across all units sold that month, not just units sold by advertising, but all units sold, that would be a 12% TACOS. Okay. A lot of you guys probably already know that. Just make sure we're all on the same page here. And one of the primary goals during launch is to collect data, PPC data and customer data. So these are the things that you're doing during launch: establishing rank, getting sales velocity, achieving profitable TACOS, and collecting data. After the launch phase, and we'll go into how you've left the launch phase. But before we get into that, once you get to the expansion phase, your priority shifts. You are now gaining market share, increasing and maintaining rank for primary keywords, gaining rank for high relevance keywords, doing brand offense, trying to steal the quote unquote steal the traffic from competing brands. And overall, the motto during this phase is increase effectiveness. Okay, this is in contrast to the harvest phase where you're increasing efficiency. During the expansion phase, you increase effectiveness. So what does that mean? It means doing better at all of the things that are necessary, meaning delivering on the products of the promises of the product through product design tweaks, through optimizing all placements on PPC to get as much relevant traffic as possible, through tweaking the listing to ensure that the data that's coming back from PPC and the feedback that's coming back from customers is put into the listing to make the listing higher and higher relevance, make it better and better and better. Everything we're doing is to increase the effectiveness of the product on Amazon, the effectiveness of the product delivery, the effectiveness of the listing, the effectiveness of the thumbnail that shows up in search results, the effectiveness of the advertising. That is the motto of the expansion phase. Okay. Then again, I'll tell you how you know that you've moved on to the next phase. But the final phase, harvest, the goal here moves from effectiveness to efficiency. Okay. During the harvest phase, you've actually cemented your spot. And this is why aggregators buy companies that have products in the harvest phase, because they're basically cash cows. They have lots of reviews. They've cemented their spot in the search results. Your goal during this phase is to maximize profitability, pull profit out of the product, minimize all of your costs, hold your rank position, defend your brand name and your brand position. And again, do everything possible to increase efficiency. And that's the efficiency of the PPC campaigns. That's the efficiency of the supply chain, the efficiency of your dealings and negotiations and orders with your supplier, the efficiency with all processes relating to gathering and utilizing your audience. Everything comes down to increasing efficiency so that this product can be maximally profitable. Okay. So I'd love to see some people who are here live with us now comment on this to make sure this is all making sense to people. Does it make sense that the launch, you're just establishing rank, getting on the page, starting to achieve profitable tacos, collecting data? The expansion phase, you're working on the effectiveness of the products. The harvest phase, you're cutting the fat and increasing the efficiency of the product. Does everyone get that before we move into zooming in on what this actually means from a numbers perspective?
Zach says yes. And
Nice.
sound perfect. Barmy says yes. So
Awesome. Okay, cool. So let's start zooming in here. Starting with the launch phase. Okay. At the launch phase, your percentage of total sales from PPC is going to be 50% to 90%. So I know that sounds extreme, but it can literally be up to 90%, especially in the first few days here during phase 1 of the launch. So this means that of your total sales, if you're at the 50% side of the range, 50% of the sales are coming from organic results, where someone searched the product, found an organic result, and then purchased it. And 50% of them are coming from your PPC campaigns. Your tacos, the total advertising cost of sale, is going to be between 20% and 50%. Now, the reason that we focus on tacos rather than ACOS is that ACOS is not an ACOS, by the way, that's average cost of sale compared with total average cost of sale. ACOS is your advertising spend divided by your advertising sales, whereas tacos is your advertising spend divided by your total sales. Okay, so we use tacos during the launch phase, not ACOS. ACOS comes into consideration over in the harvest phase. Sorry, I got to zoom out here. Over in the harvest phase, but in the launch phase, you're not concerned with ACOS, you're concerned with tacos. The reason for that is most of your campaigns are going to be focused on ranking and achieving organic rank. We start turning on other campaign types later on, but we don't focus on those during the launch phase. And we're about to get into that. All right, so these are some numbers to live by. The general amount of time you can expect to be in the launch phase is 60 to 120 days, so 2 to 4 months. Again, these numbers are all, guidelines. There are lots of exceptions to the rule, but I can tell you from overseeing thousands of launches that most products will follow the guidelines that you guys see in this map in front of you. Okay. So let's dig in here. Product goes live. Okay. From the moment product goes live all the way up until the time that the launch is considered complete, This line you can say is representing your sales increasing, your daily sales increasing. And this line that's going down, you could say is representing your tacos decreasing. Okay. So as the launch progresses, as I move through my launch like this, my sales are increasing and my tacos is decreasing, meaning my total average cost of sale is decreasing. And that continues until you reach this inflection point, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty aspects of the launch itself. So first of all, I like to put in place 2 major milestones that separate the launch into 3 basic buckets. Those milestones are, well, in the very beginning, you have 0 reviews. The product just went live, right? So you have, everybody starts with 0 reviews. Once you get to 5 reviews, that is considered a major milestone. And once you get to 21 reviews, that is considered a major milestone. There's another milestone that basically represents somewhere near the end of the launch phase. That's 100 reviews. And 100 reviews is a major milestone. It doesn't mean you've exited the launch phase. You could still be in the launch phase, but that's another major milestone. It's just not represented here. So let's talk about the very first stage of the launch. This is what we call the phase 1 establish phase. During this phase, you've identified primary keywords, you've identified long tail keywords. We like to stick to 5 primary keywords and between 80 and 250 long tail keywords. You set up your campaign structure and launching campaigns. The goal here is to get initial reviews. Okay. For your first 5 reviews, it is possible for you to just get those through driving PPC traffic and getting the reviews organically. However, if you have ways to get those just first few reviews, beg, borrow, and steal, find out a way to get those first 5 reviews, because hitting that milestone as quickly as possible is critical. If you can do it in days, it's best. Mostly single keyword ranking campaigns. Okay, this is a critical part here. A vast majority, especially during this first phase of the launch, of your campaigns are just going to be single keyword, rank focused campaigns, where you're running a campaign that has just one keyword in it, so you have perfect control over the budgets and bids. You're going to start out with fixed bids, especially for these primary 5 keywords. For those, you definitely want a dedicated campaign for each. For these long tail keywords, you can either do a dedicated campaign, or you can group them by semantic core or group them by buyer intent. Okay, those are the 2 ways to structure that, but they're still ranking campaigns. So the way you measure the result of this campaign is it providing ranking? You're not measuring it based on, is it a good ACOS? Is it a good tacos? No. Well, the tacos matters, but you're measuring it based on how much did I spend? How much ranking did it produce? That's how you measure the effectiveness of these campaigns. You're not going to find that in your Amazon advertising console metrics. When you work with someone like us, like Sophie, we measure that for you, and that's included in the reports that you get. But if you're doing this on your own, you have to make sure that you're setting up the proper measurement. You're not going to use an auto campaign. Skip the auto campaign. That's a great way to just dump a bunch of money down the toilet or just shove it into Jeff Bezos' pockets. Skip it altogether. You are going to set up a broad match campaign with preloaded keywords, or phrase match campaign with preloaded keywords based on the keyword research that you did, so that you can efficiently discover new keywords without letting Amazon target random unrelated words with an auto campaign. Okay. Optional things to do during this phase. You can set up external sources of traffic, create a search, find, buy flow, create a Manychat flow connected to an insert that's in the product packaging, and create an off Amazon email follow-up sequence to build an audience. Okay, these are things that professional brands do like right at the very beginning of their launches. It's not necessarily for sure necessary, but it's becoming more and more of a standard to do these things. One note here is be careful with the search, find, buy, because Amazon did come out with a warning about 6 months ago that anything that they consider rank manipulation, quote unquote, is against terms of service, which that could be interpreted as. So when you do that, if you do decide to do that, just be careful. All right, let's get into the inflection points now for getting to the next phase. So normally once you've surpassed 5 reviews and a couple weeks have passed, you can go into phase 2. This is where you have the critical milestone here is we have collected enough data during phase 1 to do a big round of changes. All right. So during phase 2, you've got enough data where you can analyze the campaigns, identify the ultra relevant converting keywords, adjust all the bids to based on how well each keyword is converting, and start graduating keywords. Okay, so from that broad match campaign that you had, you start graduating keywords up to the next level, and start dedicated campaigns based on the keywords that you're finding that have a good conversion and a significant amount of volume and clicks. You're going to sharpen your ACOS targets, or this should say tacos targets, really, because you're going to more focus on the tacos. Double down on the ranking campaigns that are doing well. So the ones that are really crushing it, you can up the bids, up the budgets. The ones that are not doing well, or you're just not seeing it convert well, you can just give up on them and decrease the budgets. So this is us taking the feedback from the real world and adjusting our campaigns to continue on this launch. You're still completely focused on ranking with PPC. The campaign types that you want to focus on here are sponsored product, top of search. You want to target at least 30% top of search placement. But basically you want as much top of search as you possibly can. And product placement ads. Product placement ads also do affect ranking. You just got to be really careful about which products you place your ads on. They have to be either way more expensive or lower quality or worse images. And especially if you have a really good primary image, you can really crush it with product placement ads during a launch. And if you have advantageous pricing. So if you are going to go the external traffic route, here are some hints and secrets. 3 major buckets you're gonna put these into are Google Ads, TikTok, and other people's audiences. These are the most effective things when it comes to external traffic right now for Amazon sellers. Obviously, there are infinite external traffic sources that you could explore. You could explore Pinterest. You could explore Instagram. You know, there are millions of different ways that you can get external traffic, but these are the ones that actually work to drive actual sales for sellers right now in 2022. For Google Ads, the hint here is to start with low-hanging fruit. Searches like whatever your high relevance keyword is, space Amazon, because people actually use Google to search Amazon. It's just out of laziness. Or your own brand, space Amazon. You know, these are low volume searches that have super high relevance. So this is low hanging fruit. You'll get cheap clicks, cheap sales out of just doing that. If you do nothing else, just do that. Just get the low hanging fruit. It's basically like, you know, free for almost free sales. Another hint is use Amped for a shortcut. So Amped is a service that is specific Google Ads for Amazon sellers. And they're really good at automating the process of setting up those campaigns to drive sales and rank. TikTok is a huge platform that's working for sellers right now. Their whole agencies created for this. It's not something that we manage directly, but our brands do see success. And a lot of brands that I work with have success on TikTok. And the hint here is instead of creating your own content or using TikTok ads, just send products to influencers and allow them to make content. So TikTok creators, let them make the content for you. Don't try to make your own ads. Don't try to make your own videos. Just focus on getting your product to the influencers to make the content. Other people's audiences, this means other companies, other brands that have the similar customer avatar, influencers, Facebook groups that have a similar customer avatar. The hint here is to use a co-branded landing page with an affiliate agreement to get other influencers and companies interested in promoting your product. 9-figure businesses have been built off of this strategy alone. Okay. 9-figure businesses. This is a huge one, but you do need to focus a lot of time in order to make it work. So that's phase 2. I told you guys we were going to go deep here. All right. Phase 3 This is marked. It's not necessarily when you hit 21 reviews. It could be when you hit 100 reviews. But this is where you double down on a lot of what's already worked during this first cycle of feedback. You're juicing that even more. You now have enough traction and your conversion rate has likely gone up because of the reviews that you have, that you can actually turn on an auto campaign with a bunch of negative exact match keywords from your existing campaigns, from your exact match campaigns, to make it super duper efficient. You're going to use a low budget for that auto campaign, but it's going to start reaching out for new keywords. You're now cemented enough where you can start spending on finding even more keywords outside of your broad match campaign with the preloaded keywords that you put in there to begin with. Okay. I know there's a lot of information, by the way, guys. You'll be able to reference this at any time. So don't worry if something goes over your head. You can always come back and watch that section again. I told you guys I was going to be going deep on this. So don't worry if there's something you didn't understand. You can always come back to it, or you can always comment in the YouTube video, and I'll go into the comments and do my best to answer your questions. Okay. You're ramping down ranking campaign spend for lowest converting keywords. You're targeting sales coming from organic more and more. And this is where you start to see this critical milestone come into sight on the horizon. And that's getting your tacos under unit margin. This is the big milestone here. This is the inflection point. Once your margin exceeds your tacos, you have officially exited the launch phase. That doesn't mean that you're not still going hard on ranking campaigns. It doesn't mean that you're turning off these single keyword ranking campaigns. You're still going to focus on that to a large degree, especially during this expansion phase. But this inflection point is a huge step in the life of any product on Amazon. What this basically means is that the product has become profitable. That net Amazon fees, FBA fees, storage fees, and your Amazon advertising PPC fees, you are now making something per unit. Even if it's a very thin margin, you are making some margin per unit. And the more units you sell, the more money your company is bringing in. Whereas up until this point, during this launch phase, your profit is negative. Okay. Now let's look at an example product in this phase. This product is at the very bottom of page 1, but they're going heavy with the sponsored product advertising. They only have 3 reviews, so they're in the very beginning of their launch phase. They got 4.5-star rating. That's not bad. They're priced pretty aggressively with the coupon. The clickable coupon draws the eye, and so they seem to be doing everything right. Okay, I just pulled this product like yesterday. Okay, so this is fresh. This is what it looks like. You got good image, competitive pricing, good reviews. You're doing most of your PPC spend is in sponsored search. You're trying to get top of search placements. This is what it looks like to be in this phase. All right. So let's move on here. So once you hit this inflection point, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah. Okay. So profit is negative, 0 to 100 reviews. You hit the inflection point where tacos is now less than your margin, your product margin. So the product is officially profitable. If not super profitable, it's at least a little bit profitable. Okay. So now you've reached the sustainability point. You're not losing money for every day you're live on Amazon. Whereas in the beginning of the launch phase, you are. It's very rare to, at this phase, in the first few weeks and even first few months of a product launch, for you to be making money off this product. If you're expecting to make money from the second it goes live, you are kidding yourself, or you took some course that lied to you. That's the reality, guys. Just speaking truth here. There's a lot of money to be made on Amazon, but you also have to know how much money needs to be spent in order to make that back. Okay. That might be something that I put on here is budget, or total net loss, net gain in these different stages. If you guys would like that, feel free to comment it. This is a continually evolving map here. And if there's anything else that you'd like to see on this map, I'd love to hear your comments in the live chat or in the YouTube comment as well, guys.
Yanis is asking, can you explain again what Amped is?
Yeah, Amped is a service that is dedicated to driving Google traffic to Amazon listings. It's spelled AMPD. I trust these guys. I've worked with these guys. We plug them into our brands that want external traffic. We're partnered up with them. You know, I don't get any commission or anything for saying this. By the way, this is just a service that we like, that we use. And yeah, all it does is it basically automates the process of setting up Google Ads to drive traffic to Amazon listings. So
And
that's a
actually,
shortcut there.
yeah, actually also on our channel, we have a couple, maybe 3 videos recorded in the last few months with the Amped guys. So you can watch tutorials where they explain how you can set up Google advertising for your products, and they talk about their service as well.
Good
All
stuff.
right.
Yeah, they're good guys. They're data focused like us. Coming at this game from the world of physics, I was originally blown away by how not data focused most of the industry was. Now that's changing a lot, but yeah, those guys are definitely on the good team. They're the good guys. All right, so let's move on to, this is the meat and potatoes stage. This may be seen as the most exciting stage. You know, in the launch phase, it's kind of nerve-wracking, right? Like you're losing money with every day that passes. You're trying to get those reviews and cement that ranking as quickly as possible. It's exciting, but it's also nerve-wracking. In the market expansion phase, you're officially in the game. You're sustainably selling on Amazon and not losing money by doing it. You're not making tons of money because your margin is thin. You're not trying to pull profit out of the product yet. But you're in the game. You're kind of permanently in the game. You've cemented something. You have some kind of foundation to stand on. During this phase, your tacos is going to be between 10% and 20%. That means average across all of your products, all of your sales, you're spending 10 to 20% of your revenue on Amazon advertising. 10% of your total Amazon revenue you're spending on Amazon, okay? On advertising. That's what that means. Your percentage of sales coming from PPC is going to be between 30% and 50% during this phase. 30% is pretty aggressive. If you're in this phase, the market expansion phase, you really want to push it still, not as much as you were in the launch phase, but you still are pushing it because you have not cemented anything. You're not guaranteed to keep the ranking spots that you got by sort of artificially driving traffic and boosting relevance during this launch phase. That now needs to be cemented. The ranking spots that you got during this launch phase are not guaranteed to you. You could lose them the next day from someone else who has launched. So the focus during this phase is to increase review velocity. Okay. In the beginning, we're just kind of borrowing and stealing, getting reviews any way we possibly can, asking for them everywhere. And then you're trying to put in place systems that keep your review velocity high. What is review velocity? That means out of every 100 sales, how many reviews do I get? So what percentage of sales lead to a review? If every 100 sales I get 1 review, that is average on Amazon. That's what Amazon review rates are average on the platform. So if you get to 2%, you've doubled the average, and that's good. You've doubled the average, so you must be doing something right. Either the product quality is good, you have a follow-up sequence in place on Manychat or or on email, or something else, and you're getting reviews more than the average. If you get to 3%, that's great. You've now tripled the average, and you must have pretty good systems in place. If you get to 4%, that's considered excellent. If 4 out of every 100 sales leads to a review, you have some kind of excellent follow-up sequence in place, or excellent review process in place for getting honest, non-incentivized reviews. There are whole presentations on this. I go deeper into it in some of my other presentations. Augustus has videos on his channel that you can find. about this, setting up Manychat flows, setting up review sequences, using product inserts. So you guys can look into that in order to find out more information about that. But you can keep this target in your mind. Again, this map is to let you know what the milestones are at each of these stages, how to know what stage you're in and what to do at each stage. So during this market expansion phase, you're trying to get the systems in place to consistently have your review velocity at 4%. This is kind of your North Star. The closer you get to 4%, the better. I rarely see companies getting above 4%. That means 1 out of every 25 sales leads to a review. If you get to 5%, that's just absolutely out of this world. If you get too high, it can actually flag Amazon. You can get flagged by Amazon, and they can actually suspend your ability, shoppers' ability to leave reviews on your product. And I've seen that many times. So if once you get to 4%, you're doing absolutely excellent. You're the top of the top. So you don't need to push it much more than that. Keep your review rating at or above 4.5. This is critical because this is a major indicator for a lot of different things. You need a 4.5 star review rating in order to even be shown in some Amazon product placement ads now, like highly rated. Highly rated is a sponsored product placement that shows up usually at the top of page 1. It's a super highly valuable placement, and you are actually not eligible for it unless your review rating is at, I think actually the minimum is 4.3, because it still shows the 4.5 star icon. But you're not even going to show up there if you don't have this. And this is critical not only for the conversion, but also the click-through rate, and also at the end of your time selling on Amazon. This is going to be critical for attracting buyers for the business if you want a life-changing exit. During this time, you're going to dial in your audience building mechanism. Okay, so you're going to be whatever you're using to build an audience. You build a email list, build a Manychat list. You're going to be dialing in all of those systems. You're going to tweak your listing in response to PPC data to increase relevance. This is a huge one here. The listing itself will be changed in an ever spinning feedback loop in response to the data that you got back from the PPC during your launch phase. So all of the keywords that you thought were relevant, but they're not converting well in PPC, you're going to quietly move them out of the title and maybe just leave them in the bullets. Things that you didn't know were relevant or didn't think were relevant that turned out to have a super high conversion rate, those ones you're actually going to move from the bullets into the title, because obviously people are connecting with those terms more. So this is how you start to turn from having fleeting ranking position for some of your keywords to cementing your ranking position for these keywords. It's by running this process. You're dialing in your review velocity. You're getting your review rating up. You're dialing in your audience building mechanism. You're tweaking the PPC. You're tweaking the listing in response to PPC to make it more and more relevant over time, responding to the market, not just leaving it static out there. And you're even tweaking product design in response to customer feedback. So when you start to get reviews or you start to get messages in your Manychat flow or directly to your brand through your website or through a contact us form or whatever, you're actually going to start to make product design changes. It's very rare for the initial product launch to actually be the final product design if you ever want to make it to this pulling profits harvesting stage, which is the ultimate goal. Products and companies that get there, they're keenly aware of the feedback coming back from their products. And this is a really critical part of the stage here, is tweaking the product design in response to the customer feedback. And there's a trick to this when you want to update the product and sell out of old inventory. There's a whole process surrounding this that I'm happy to share. If you guys reach out, comment in the YouTube video, or just you shoot me an email, I'll share my contacts at the end of this. Campaign types during the market expansion phase. So you're still doing sponsored products, still doing top of search, but you're also doing rest of search now. And you're still doing the product placement ads, but now you've turned on sponsor brand video, headline ads, trying to get into the highly rated section. you're expanding out the types of ads that you're doing now that you have reached sustainability on Amazon. You haven't cemented your spot, but you are sustainably selling on Amazon, and you're spending most of your time and energy and resources and capital coming in from the product on expanding your position. To go over again what you're focusing on here, you're gaining market share, you're increasing and maintaining rank for primary keywords, you're gaining rank for more high relevance keywords, you're doing brand offense, meaning stealing sales from other brands, and you're increasing the effectiveness overall, just focusing on effectiveness. Okay, this is when you're sort of an adolescent. Product it's not yet an adult, but it's sort of like in its prime, growing, exploring, finding out its own identity, cementing its own identity. During this phase, your profit is anywhere from break even to 20%. That's unit profit. Okay, that's not net profit. That doesn't count any of your company overhead. All right, so this doesn't count the rent for your office, or your bookkeeping software costs, or your legal fees or software fees or anything like that. This is your unit fees. So every cost that varies as your number of units units sold varies. So variable costs, that means shipping costs, the production costs, the advertising costs on Amazon, the fulfillment costs, everything relating to the cost of selling an item directly. Your profit for that, which some call the gross profit, some would call the net profit, because it depends on how you define that. But that will be break even to 20%. Okay, so every product you sell on Amazon is making you something. The reviews in this stage is usually in the hundreds. Getting to 1,000 reviews doesn't mean that you've left this stage, but it can mean that. It depends on the category and how competitive it is. For instance, if I was to search omega-3, the top sellers have like 90,000 reviews. Okay, so you might have a couple thousand reviews and you're still in the market expansion phase. You're not yet at the harvesting stage. But most niches that you guys are probably going to be focused on, where the primary keywords have search volume between 5 and 50,000 searches a month, like omega-3, that's going to have like 400,000 searches a month. I mean, it's a crazy high volume. Certain categories, they're just in a different level. And most products that you focus on launching that are possible for an individual to launch, they're going to be more moderate. So when you're in the hundreds of reviews, you're usually in the market expansion. It can be low thousands of reviews, you're still in market expansion. But eventually you reach the point where you have secured your spot. The main thing is that you have enough reviews to secure your spot. When you go in the search results and you look at the top selling products, that you have generally near the same number of reviews as the top selling products for the primary keywords and most relevant keywords search results. That's how you know that your spot is secured. So to move on to this phase, the harvesting phase, this is 2 to 5 years. Like I said earlier, can be more. This is when the product is an adult. It's sort of in its prime. It's reaping what was sown earlier. During this phase, the tacos is 5% to 15%, anywhere in that range. That's usually the profitable range that still allows you to maintain your spot. Your percentage of total sales from PPC is anywhere between 20% and 30%. So that means 70 to 80% of your sales are organic. And your focus here is, like I said earlier, you're focusing on efficiency. Okay. So your focus is supply chain optimization, decreasing shipping costs, decreasing unit costs through design changes. Okay, there are lots of different ways to design things to decrease the unit cost. Doing supplier negotiation and payment terms negotiation to increase cash flow. PPC defense campaigns. At this point, other brands are going to start advertising on your listing. They're going to advertise on your keywords, your branded keywords. You have to defend your spot. Okay. This is more about defense than offense at this stage. You've already cemented your spot and you need to defend your spot. You are directing off Amazon traffic. This is another super effective way to just keep your spot that you've fought so hard to get. And mostly building systems and processes to constantly feed the rank of your spot. It's about the systems and processes. You're not focusing on hacks anymore. You're not focusing on big blasts or huge promos. You're focusing on just consistent daily processes that continue to drive traffic, super optimize your PPC. The campaign types here, you're going to really ramp up a lot more sponsored brand during this stage because you're going to have a storefront. Ideally, you have a lot of good brand assets at this point, and you can really crush it from an ACoS perspective and get profitable ads running that are not just to help you rank, but to just literally generate profitable sales using sponsored brand, especially sponsored brand video and headline ads. You could crush it with those. You're going to do brand defense campaigns, like I mentioned before, both search and browse. That means for branded search terms on your brand, you're going to have high bid brand defense campaigns. And on all your listings, you're going to take up all the ad spots possible with your own products. You're not going to do top of search anymore for keywords that you're ranking above the fold for. And the reason for this is that if two listings are showing above the fold, they're going to click the first one, click the advertising product. It's going to steal a bunch of your organic sales. Instead, just focus on the headline search ads and rest of search for the keywords that you're ranking above the fold for. Above the fold means basically first 5 spots. Product placement ads, you're going to continue. The sponsor brand ads continue. The sponsor brand video is super critical here. Headline search ads and highly rated, you're going to continue that as well. So basically, you're turning on a lot more ad types. Sponsored display, even DSP when you're deep into this. The profit range here, this is the dream that everyone who's selling on Amazon is looking to get to, where you can finally start pulling profits out. You have a cash cow, an asset that just passively produces, not quite passively, it still needs to be monitored, still systems need to be run, but it has cemented the spot to the point where you can just pull profits out consistently month after month, year after year. And these are the ASINs that get bought by aggregators at high multiples. The profit is between 15% and 40%. I know that's a big range, but that's because different products have different profit margin ranges due to the competitiveness of the product and how commoditized it is. The reviews, again, this is a huge range here. It's between 1,000 and 100,000 reviews. I know that's a gigantic range, but like I said before, in this product that we've been using as an example, drawer organizers, the top products have around 6,000 reviews. But if I was to go to another category like Omega-3, the top products have 70, 80, 90,000 reviews. Like, it's insane numbers. So 100,000 is basically like the upper limit, at least at the scale that Amazon's at now. In a couple of years, that'll change. There'll probably be quite a few products above 100,000. Right now, that's the upper limit. Generally, for you guys, it's going to be between 1,000 and 10,000 in order to reach the spot where you've completely cemented your place. Oh, and I didn't show the example of that same ASIN, that same product category in the expansion phase. So you could see in the expansion phase, we got a couple hundred reviews. We're still priced pretty competitively. This product is ranking in the middle of page 1, which you can't see here, obviously. But it's got 5 stars. This is a good example of a product that's in the expansion phase. It's spending a lot of its energy and resources on not just generating profit. They're not trying to pull tons of profit out of the product. They're really just still trying to cement their place in the different rankings. And in the harvest phase, these guys happen to have a live deal going, but they're priced the same as the average normally, and they have tons of reviews on the level of most of the products that show up for the primary keywords for this product. Is drawer organizer. You can search it now if you want. and they've pretty much cemented their spot. These guys can pull profit out of this product consistently, and probably will be able to for quite a while. All right, let's see what I'm missing here. Okay, so yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. At this point, we can get into answering some questions that have been rolling in, or like I said, I'm also happy to receive any recommendations for things to add to this map. At this point, I'll stop sharing my screen and we can get into the discussion aspect.
Yes, perfect. Very nice, detailed, unusual presentation. And of course, we got a question. Can we download this slide? Well, it's not a slide, right? It's like a drawing.
It's not, yeah, it is exportable, and I do have the ability to provide it. We didn't set that up specifically for this, but you can get access to it. I
And also you can rewatch this video and like follow the process of Chris' explanation.
Yeah. But if you email hello@sophiesociety.com, I can get a PDF version of it that's zoomable, so you'll be able to zoom all the way in, send to you guys.
Perfect. So yeah, we have a bunch of questions. The first one, how do we adjust the flow for a large number of SKUs with low search volume, like a clothing company launching 100 or more abstract designs, not one SKU? I've watched his past videos, never know how to adjust.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So first of all, I'm assuming that a lot of these SKUs are child variations. I'm assuming. That may or may not be the case. Feel free to comment again. Are a lot of them child variations with a couple key parents, or are they all completely different parent ASINs? Because that matters. If they are child variations and there's a couple of critical parents, what you want to do is during the launch phase, you observe what child variation sells the best and is converting the highest. And you're really going to juice that as much as you possibly can for high relevance keywords for that product, that variation. And then you focus on ranking the variation and allowing the other variations to kind of tag along with it. And some of them also will rank for different, really specific long tail keywords that you can also target, like the color, for instance. If someone's like looking for a white handbag and a green handbag, you're going to have specific campaigns dedicated for that.
She says there are mostly different ones.
Yeah, I see that there. Okay, so if they're all completely different products, then unique designs. Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm guessing that so it sounds like design in this case is the critical differentiating factor. So the product itself, it sounds like the actual product shape, the product design is similar or the same, but the design is different. In that case, you are going to be able to take advantage of the efficiencies of your keyword research, because you're not going to have to do a completely different keyword research campaign in order to set up campaigns for each of these parent SKUs. You can use similar or overlapping keyword research. The issue you're going to run into is budget issues. So if you're launching hundreds of keywords, hundreds of products at once, all with different designs, you can't be spending, huge daily budgets on hundreds of products all at once. So you're going to focus on hyper targeting the most relevant keywords for each one, and not expanding out to a bunch of different tests and doing a lot of different keyword discovery. You're going to do the keyword research up front and really hyper focus the campaigns, because you just can't spend that much money. It just ends up being unwieldy when you have, unless you have a gigantic budget, when you have hundreds of products like this. Another thing you can do is you can focus, again, even if they're different parent ASINs, you can focus a lot of your traffic and a lot of your PPC on some of the more popular ones. After seeing them on the market for a couple of days or weeks, and you start to see which ones have the highest conversion rate, you can focus a lot of your energy on driving traffic to those and then cross-sell them all. Cross-sell them all in every different possible way. So one way to do this is setting up special promotions, buy one, get one. So in the special promotion section of each listing, you'll have deals to get that product with another one of these parent ASINs, which is a different design. That's your buy one, get one deal. So you can cross-sell the products. You can also start getting them infrequently bought together. But once you do that for long enough, because when the products are bought together, Amazon starts to put them in the frequently bought together section. That's another free way to cross-sell. And you can turn on sponsored product placement ads where your products are being advertised on each other's listings. And that's much cheaper, much cheaper impressions and clicks than the sponsored search. But for you, it's going to be highly relevant because they're already on your brand. So the game that you have to play is unlike the map that I just showed for a normal private label product life cycle. You are going to focus on efficiency from the very beginning because you're forced to.
Yeah, she commented that she's following your advice, very helpful. She also said that she has like t-shirts, mugs.
Yeah, makes sense.
And
merch.
that, but maybe she can group by niche some of them.
Yeah, or niche. A better way to put it is your customer avatar, the avatar that's buying that type of product, and the buyer intent. That's how you want to group it.
All right. Barmi is asking, what specific techniques would you use to drive a 4% review velocity? I use email follow-up via Helium 10 and product inserts and get 2.5 at the present time.
That's not bad. 2.5 is not bad. You're doing pretty good. To get up to 4%, you have to dial those in. So the insert is, I would say, the main way, dialing in that insert. The email follow-up sequence is probably getting you barely anything. Well, if you're talking about like an automated Amazon email, nobody's opening those emails anymore. They're getting very low open rates and response rates. But an email follow-up sequence off Amazon, that can be super powerful. So the way to do this is split test. With your product insert and your customer follow-up flow, it can be either Manychat or email. So the QR code is either going to lead them. So the QR code has a promise, right? The first thing you want to do is split test those promises. The QR code product insert is going to say either scan this code to register the warranty for your product. That's usually for higher price products. That's one ask. Maybe that's working okay for you and you're getting a 2.5% review rate off of that. But if that's getting 2.5%, you can test another ask to see if you get a higher opt-in, a higher scan rate. And that ask could be scan this to get a discount on your next product, or scan this to get the ebook about how to use the product, or scan this to get a free digital asset relating to the product, a tool to calculate how many gains you'll get off the product, or an app download or an ebook download, whatever it is. There are a lot of different offers and promises that you can split test in your product inserts to increase the opt-in rate. Then once you have done that, then you split test. I know this is a lot, but this is actually like make or break. The companies that do this better are going to beat the companies that don't do it, don't have it dialed in. So after you split test the ask, you split test the follow-up. And the follow-up, maybe you have like a 2 email follow-up sequence, or you have like a quick Manychat flow that gets their information and asks for a review if they're having a good experience, right? If you're doing Manychat, test email. If you're doing email, test Manychat. If you're doing email and you have 2 emails, test doing 10 emails spread out over the course of 4 months. There are a lot of things, and in the emails, test different copy. You start to test how you can better build a relationship with the customer that uses the product, tell better stories, connect more emotionally before you have that ask of leaving the review. And that's how you'll get it from 2.5 to 4%. You're doing pretty good at 2.5. That's really not bad. That's a pretty good review velocity. You should be able to get it to 4 if you spend the time to split test this. And by the way, guys, like this, it sounds like, oh man, that's a lot of effort. But really, it's not. Like if you just dedicated a week to this was like your review velocity week, and you did your normal duties half the day, and the other half the day you just dedicated to review velocity all week long, you'd be able to set up all these split tests, everything. You'd figure out the design for the insert. You'd figure out the split test for the messaging in the email or the Manychat flow. You'd be able to split test it all. And it's super high leverage work because once you set it up, again, this isn't reviews, it's review velocity. So once you up your review velocity, that's not getting more reviews. That's that's turning on the tap of a permanent, constant flow of reviews. So anytime you're working on something that impacts a change that lasts forever, like a completely new flow, that is considered high leverage work because it benefits you from that day forward every single day. Whereas, ad hoc work that benefits you today and then it's gone tomorrow is low leverage work that should be delegated. So there you go. We went down a little rabbit hole there, but felt it was important to mention all that.
Okay, you talked about Manychat. GM wants to know Manychat for what? Getting emails to grow a list or for Facebook campaigns for free products and increase sales velocity?
Yeah, so there's two basic things that you can do with Manychat. You can run campaigns to cold audiences to get search, find, buy traffic that boosts the ranking of your product, or you can use product inserts that lead to a Manychat flow that collect product information and ask for a review. So what I was referencing when I was walking you guys through this product lifecycle map was the latter, where you use Manychat as the endpoint to a QR code on your product insert that leads to a flow that eventually asks for a review.
Okay, Zach wants to know what's the best plan to maximize sales in Q4?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, Zach. That's a whole presentation in and of itself. Yeah, there are, first of all, the most important thing, which you're on the brink of being too late for this at this point anyway, but getting the stock in place and a really good stock forecast sounds super boring, but that's the one thing that everybody messes up on. If you run out of stock or you get too much stock, everything else that you do is completely for nothing. Because if you get too much stock, you're paying out the nose in storage fees, and there goes all your profit. And if you don't get enough stock, you can completely run out. That tanks your ranking. You're really going to want to do extensive keyword research ahead of time, especially if your product is highly giftable, because the keywords you target will change, and the keyword volume for keywords, certain keywords, especially relating to customer avatars like dad, mom, brother, sister, wife, they change dramatically, can increase/decrease dramatically based on the Q4 and holiday related searches. So you have to do a completely new keyword research in order to prepare for it. Yeah, we could and should do an entire presentation on this. There's a lot when it comes to PPC, the listing itself, the listing thumbnail, and the promotions that you have live on it, the badges that you have on your listing, and the supply chain preparation that you can do to optimize and maximize your sales in Q4. And maybe that's something that we should do, Augustus. We could do a similar thing that we did today if people like the format, where I can draw out the timeline of what happens, each week leading up to Christmas.
Let us know, guys, if you like the idea. By the way, Barmy says thank you for your previous answer to his question. And
For sure.
Money wants to know, would you consider lowering the price if one tried everything to get sales when a lot of Chinese sellers are jumping with low prices?
All right. So pricing. If you're lowering the price way after the launch has already been done and this product's been live on Amazon for a while already, that's usually not a good idea. And the reason is because once you start to compete on price, like you said, all of the Chinese factories, you're not competing with them. That's going to do you less good because it could pop you back into the status of actually losing money off sales on Amazon, which is bad. Rather than that, the better thing to do is to focus on optimizing click-through rate. Okay, obviously you are going to continue focusing on optimizing your conversion rate, but what a lot of people ignore is the click-through rate. I'd say there's probably 20 times more content out there in the Amazon industry groups about conversion rate than there is for click-through rate. Click-through rate optimization is equally important to conversion rate optimization, because if nobody clicks on your listing, they never get a chance to convert in the first place if they scroll right past it. So there are a lot of strategies for click-through rate optimization. It seems simple, right? Because there's just a thumbnail, the title, and then the price, the star rating, any badges, and any coupons, right? So how much is there to really optimize? Well, it turns out a lot. If you are having trouble competing because of a lot of Chinese sellers jumping in with lower prices, you are going to want to focus on getting that listing thumbnail to be as clickable as humanly possible. That means going deep on the research on how to optimize every element of it, starting with the primary image. The primary image is the number one thing that people will click based on. So you need to go deep on the primary image. How can you split test the primary image? Can you add the user, the avatar, into the primary images and get away with it? Like if you're selling a face mask, can you put a human face in with the mask on instead of just showing the mask by itself, because people are attracted to human faces? If you're selling boots, can you actually show the boot with it? Maybe it's still on a white background, right? But it's got grass underneath it instead of these other boots that look like, rubber and fake. This one looks more natural because it's literally in grass. There are a lot of tricks to this. Sometimes you can get away with having some kind of badge, but that can get you docked by Amazon if you have like words or a badge or something like that on it. But it's something to test if you're desperate. And then you can actually increase the size of the product thumbnail. This is something people don't know. This is like a super hack, and we have a video. I think it's publicly available, right, Augustus? The one that we did on our last event, click-through rate optimization.
Yes, I can share a link also.
Yeah, so Augustus will share a link in the description, but there's a whole presentation on how to focus on click-through rate optimization. That's your answer. Rather than focusing on the price, get a clickable coupon on there, even if it's just $1 or 5%. Get the climate pledge friendly badge, get the small business badge, optimize the title, make it super high relevant based on the data that you get from your PPC, optimize the main image, make sure that the icon is showing 4.5 stars. If it's not, you're pretty much screwed. So you have to either get 1-star reviews removed or get enough 5-star reviews to bump it up if you're below the 4.5 star icon reader, and get a strike through price. There's a couple other as well. Watch the whole presentation, Manny. I think you'll like it. That's what you're going to want to focus on, and that's how you're gonna compete without losing all of your margin.
GM was reacting to the question if we should make a Q4 session with you about Q4 strategies. So he said awesome, or she said. And Tracy has another question. When you target your avatar versus niche, would you run an ad group containing mixed Amazon categories? Like, would you run a Father's Day tee with a Father's Day mug in same ad group in a campaign?
That's a really good question. So I would not mix categories and avatars, because it makes it much harder for you to control the bids, control the top of search bid adjuster, control the budgets for those things. I would split them out. Splitting it out can make you into separate campaigns. Splitting it out into separate campaigns can cause you to have a lot more campaigns, which seems more unruly, but at the end of the day, it's actually better for you. If you have a lot of different product categories or buyer intent or semantic cores for keywords bundled in to one campaign, you just don't have enough control to be able to adjust all of the metrics to make sure that you're ranking for that keyword or you're pulling profit out of that keyword. So you'll want to split it out.
Perfect. Next question by Laurie. Do you provide PPC assistance to companies selling in UK? So it's a good point to talk about your services, Chris.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we provide PPC management to any Amazon marketplace. And yeah, our PPC managers are all professionals with millions of dollars in ad spend under their belt collectively. These guys are the best of the best. We run an internal mastermind that's private only to us. That's of the level of a $10,000 a year mastermind that only our guys have access to. We have a culture of continuous improvement and experimentation. We align with the goal of the brand and design the PPC campaign structure around the goal that you have for the brand, whether it's, you want to get to 10 million or you want to get to 1 million. And we'll be realistic with you about the budgets you need and make sure to stay within those budgets. We're the best out there. And that's the truth. We also, and we didn't mention this, but we are running a PPC challenge. And I'd love to, if it's okay, Augustus, I could share my screen.
Sure.
To
and also you can find the link below in the description, which will give you more information, and you can register for the challenge. By the way, we still have a few more questions if Chris has time. But yeah, Chris, share your screen to talk more about the upcoming PPC challenge.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what I'm sharing with you guys right now, this is the page for the challenge. I'm not going to lead you through the entire thing, but this is one of the best ways to get really good at PPC at any of these life cycle stages that we talked about. We go through a lot of deep hacks and secrets that I've literally seen nowhere else. The challenge is from September 5th to September 9th. So there's 5 days. You are only allowed to join if you are committed to participating in every single day. If you don't participate, you get removed. This is a very serious challenge. There's only 160 seats, and every single person gets dedicated attention. The people that join the challenge are not numbers; they're names. We have an 8-to-1 mentor to participant ratio, so everyone actually is going to get their questions answered and get their specific challenges answered and get attention during these 5 days. Each person is held accountable to the tasks that they do during the challenge. 7-figure sellers and our PPC managers that I just mentioned to you that have their own internal mastermind are going to be in the groups. It's actually run out of Telegram. There's live sessions every day that go over the overall strategy from the whole forest to the trees, the actual tactics and the how to calculate bids to how to set up your campaign structure in every different product life cycle. You get access to the other participants in the challenge. Most of the participants are actually doing 50,000 plus in monthly ad spend. So these are high level guys, but you don't have to be doing that to join. You just have to be live on Amazon. You have to be selling live on Amazon. If you're not yet selling, come back to us some later time. This is not for you, but if you are selling and you're trying to grow the business, this is for you. You get templates and guides, even pre-built Excel tools that allow you to do calculations and drag and drop reports and analyze them, pull out insights from them directly. These are macros that we use internally. We're actually going to give out. And we actually have an internal playbook that we're going to export our hacks from. We have an internal knowledge base system that we use to manage all our knowledge. We're going to give away some of that as well. And every day comes with clear action plan. And all in all, this is stuff that people would pay. People do pay in this industry thousands of dollars for. We're giving them the first seats away for $47, and after the first 50 seats, there's a total of 160 seats available. this just went live this week. The price is going to go up to 97 after the first 50 seats. And let me just go into showing you really quick. If you want to check this out, there's a link in the description, as Augustus stated. Please use that link to check out all of these case studies in general, if you would like some more proof that we know what the hell we're talking about. And there's a breakdown of what's going to be covered each of the 5 days. So I'm not going to go through all of this. There's a huge amount. Everyone includes like secret hacks that you'll be able to download at the end of the day. But you can go into here using the link that Augustus provides in the chat and in the description to see what's covered on each of these 5 days, what the giveaway is, and what we're going to be covering during that day.
Yeah,
so
perfect.
Yeah, there is an application process for this, but like I said, if you're the owner of your brand and if you're live on Amazon, you will be accepted. If you're not, then this application will just tell you, nicely that you don't yet apply, but you can come back next time or once you're at the level where you are able to commit to something like this.
Trace is asking, will this work if I have a lot of campaigns?
Yeah, absolutely, it will, Tracy. Your case is a lot different, but a lot of these strategies are applicable across a lot of different business models, including if you have a large basket of ASINs. We have brands that we manage that have tons of ASINs.
And how many hours a day it will be?
Okay, so there's an hour of content, and then there's required collaboration. So you actually have to post what you did in the exercise afterwards. So that can be about 30 minutes of your own time, 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how long you get it done.
And why you have the paid option? Is it because you want to filter out action takers? Or?
Which option?
You have to pay for the challenge. Why it's not for free? Can you explain?
Oh, yeah. So the reason is because we actually have really high level mentors that we added into it. So the actual interaction takes place in private Telegram groups with a maximum student to mentor ratio of 8-1, which is many times lower than any other challenge that you'll see out there. And these are really high level guys. Their time is very expensive. So yeah, so that covers their time and also the time of everyone from Sophie that came together to put together all of this content.
We still have a couple of strategic questions, but I see people are really interested about the challenge. So quickly, what about when it's like merchant KDP campaigns? Is it suitable for that challenge?
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is, so some of the tactics are not going to be relevant to high volume, sorry, not high volume, wide product models where you have like hundreds upon hundreds of products and you're trying to sell low volumes of lots of products. But a lot of it is relevant to that because you're going to learn the basics of campaign structure, what to focus on once you hit different milestones, just simply hacks on optimizing the relevance for listings in general. For you, your challenge is going to be applying it across all of these ASINs and being able to do that with the manpower that you currently have in the company. So some of the things will apply, some of the things won't apply to you. Some of the things will not directly apply, but can be adapted to you. So that's the moral of the story there.
Perfect. And John wants to know, what about the time zone? Because
yes, it's live and it does work for the UK. It'll be like mid-evening UK time.
Perfect. So it's North America, Europe targeted.
Yep.
All right. Last questions. Money. I think we did this one. Sorry. Okay. Aisha wants to know.
I don't think we did. That was a follow-up question. Yeah.
Okay. Click-through rate is really good, but I don't know why the conversion is that low. Maybe my price turns people off. That's why the idea came up with lowering the price from 70 to 35.
Okay. This is good additional context here. So if you have a great click-through rate and a bad conversion rate, it doesn't necessarily mean that the price is too high. It does sound like, I mean, if their price is about nearly half of yours, or it is half. Their price is half of your price. That is definitely going to put you in a different category. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to decrease the price. You could make it closer if you have the margin space, but again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. There are a lot of products that are able to compete at much higher prices by going for the luxury crowd. And if all of the other products that are competing at these 35 euro price are direct Chinese factories, I guarantee that their brand is not great. So I'm going to change my tack on this with this additional information and give you some advice on what to do about that conversion rate issue. So what you're going to want to do on this listing is tell a story. I'm guessing that you don't even have the brand story module live. Most brands don't. That's going to be huge for you, especially in a space where a lot of Chinese factories are selling directly from the factory at super low prices with little to no brand identity. You are going to stand out by showing the character of your brand in a rich and deep way. And two of the most effective ways to do this are through A+ content and through the brand story module. The brand story module tells the character and identity of the brand through cards. You guys, I'm sure, have all or most of you guys have seen this. It shows up right before the A+ content. Everyone has access to it now. It was in beta for a while, but now everyone has access to it. But most brands just don't use it, even though it's free real estate on the listing. It's literally free real estate to use. You have a background card, and then you have individual cards that scroll across, and you can have tons of them. You can have like 10 or more of them. I haven't found the upper limit yet because we haven't even been able to create enough cards to hit the upper limit. So make at least half a dozen cards that make you human. Ideally, it even shows your face or someone's face. It's your face or someone else from the team's face, or your ideal customer avatar's face, or one of your top customers' faces, and highlights the human behind the logo. This is going to set you apart in a big way. We've seen this have dramatic impacts on conversion rate for commoditized style products like this with similar issues to what you're talking about. If you can really tell a story, if the brand has a cause behind it in any way, if it doesn't, you can easily create one just by setting up a monthly donation to a foundation or something relating to the customer avatar that they would connect to, or that you connect to, and then putting that information as an entire module in the A+ content, and then making the A+ content really rich. Having faces and humans all over it is the critical part. Your ideal customer avatar, if it's young moms, have young moms all over the place, especially in the headline banner of the A+ content. And there's a video with me and Augustus that goes through how to create all 7 modules of A+ content properly. I would go, but yeah, that's some of the initial things that you can do. But yeah, it sounds like conversion is the issue. It's not the click-through rate is the issue. And I wouldn't go straight to price. That's a game that you're bound to lose eventually. You may end up adjusting the price, but try everything else first.
And of course, we will add the link to the A+ content video also in the description. It's really one of the most viewed videos with Chris, or the most viewed. So you should definitely check this out. We still have a few questions. Chris, do you have time?
Yeah, let's rock them.
Okay. Manny says, thank you so much, Chris. Really, thank you so much.
For sure.
And Martin wants to know, hi, Chris, what is your approach to the campaigns if your product has the bestseller badge? Would you reduce the exposure? If yes, how would you group the keywords?
That's an epic question. That's awesome. Oh, it's Martin. Yeah, I know Martin. What's up, man? That's an absolutely awesome question. And I was actually just facing this in our internal mastermind this morning in the question of how to select the proper category for your product, because obviously a lot of times your product fits into a lot of different categories. And one of the reasons to change a product category is if you think you have the bestseller badge. If you think you have a shot at the bestseller badge, rather. If you think you can outsell the bestseller, and I've done this multiple times in my history, then it's better to try to get that bestseller badge and get in that category that has lower competition so that your sales volume makes you the bestseller, which is epic. So in terms of once you have the badge, if you want to reduce exposure, uh, I'm not sure what's behind that portion of the question, because I wouldn't want to reduce exposure. Having the bestseller badge, it's just going to dramatically increase the click-through rate. Like the click-through rate can literally be double with the bestseller badge than it was before. It can have a dramatic increase. I think probably what you're referring to is what I was mentioning before, where if you're ranking above the fold, not to focus on top of search sponsored search placements, but rather focus on sponsored brand placements and rest of search placements, so that you don't have to compete with clicks above the fold and steal sales from your own organic listing, which can actually, end up hurting your ranking anyway. So if you have the bestseller badge and you're ranking above the fold, you can still do sponsored search ads, but do rest of search. You don't have to be super aggressive with the top of search bid adjustment and trying to get everything top of search. You can just focus on sponsored brand headline ads, sponsored brand video ads, rest of search placements, product placements, and let the placement stand for itself. You also want to maximize the visibility of that badge. So you are going to want a lot of sponsored search results for the keywords that you're not ranking above the fold for. Definitely keep doing top of search and rest of search and maximize the visibility of that, because you're going to be getting a really good click-through rate on that. So yeah, in that sense, you really want to continue driving a lot of the traffic through sponsored search, because of the fact that that badge will show there, whereas other ad types, you're not going to see the badge at all. And grouping the
Oh,
keywords. So we group the keywords either by buyer intent or semantic core. So once you get to a certain point, certain keywords, you're going to want to just not group them at all, right? You're just focusing on ranking. So you want to have tight control over those keywords because you're specifically trying to rank for them. Other keywords, there's just too many of them, and it doesn't make sense to have individual campaigns for all of them. So you can group them by buyer intent or semantic core, and that allows you to have enough control and also just be able to understand it, like to slot it in your mind. Like if someone's buying a bag for travel versus buying a bag for organizing their closet, those are two different buyer intents for the same product, and you can group those long tail keywords by that buyer intent so that you can adjust their bids based on their conversions and adjust their budgets based on their conversions over time.
and yes, he confirms that it was by intent by grouping keywords, and also he confirms that he was referring to your presentation.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Nice. Okay. Cool.
All right,
I think
and
we
I
hit
think
that.
probably last question by Aisha. How do you guys create an insert to get customers on your email list?
Yeah, the insert is just
Oh,
a
your lights
branded.
got off. What happened to your lights?
Oh, yeah, it's a crazy reflection that just
Okay.
showed up. So there's not much I can do about it.
Okay.
It'll pass. Hopefully you can still see me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way to do this is to create a beautifully branded insert that comes along with your product, or bake into the packaging or instructions of the product a QR code and URL that leads them to a landing page or direct Manychat flow. So how do you create the insert? You can just get a designer, or you can hire a company like Sophie Society to do it for you, and you get a QR code. You can just generate a QR code online. It's free to generate a QR code that leads to a domain. That's a follow-up sequence. You can use services like URL Genius that redirect the QR code, so that in the future, if you want to change it to something else, you can beta test it. I highly recommend that. Or you can just send it to your own domain. Like, whatever your brand is. If my brand is Chris's Mugs, it'd be chrissmugs.com/first insert, chrissmugs.com/second insert, stuff like that. Yeah. And so you create the insert that leads to a domain that leads them to a landing page that causes them to input their information in order to get something. So they input their name, their email, their phone number, and if you want, you can get other information as well that allows you to have better, richer interactions with them, like, how they use your product or something else about them. And then you automatically enroll them in an email follow-up sequence or a Manychat flow sequence that communicates with them and tells them, asks them about feedback from the product, and invites them to leave a review if they like. And then obviously you have to deliver on the promise. You have to give them the ebook or give them the warranty after they've registered, quote unquote, their warranty, or give them the code, the discount code, whatever it is. You deliver that to them as well. And that's pretty much it.
Perfect. That's cool. It was the last question. Martin is saying thank you.
Thanks, bro. Good to see you, man.
Yeah. And so one more time, we have few things to recap. If you want to get a slide of the visual representation what Chris talked, I think the best if you watch the video and follow Chris walkthrough. Also, you'll find below the link to the PPC challenge Chris and his team is organizing in a few weeks. So make sure you sign up for that. What end result Amazon sellers can expect if they go through the challenge of 5 days?
By the end of the 5 days, you will have clarity about how to set up your campaigns to achieve the goal that you're looking to achieve with your brand.
Perfect.
And you'll have the expertise to be able to do it yourself, or at least know if somebody is doing it right, who you hired to do it for you.
And John already signed up for the challenge. Perfect.
Nice. See.
And yeah, I think one more time you can remind us how else do you help with your team for Amazon sellers? I know that you do PPC management. What else?
Yeah, we do also, as part of our PPC management, we do product launch management. So if you're launching a new product or you're expecting to launch new products, we manage that launch through active and engaged PPC management paired with content if it's needed. So we will create a product insert for you that leads to a flow, or we will create high converting listing content for you, or advise you on how to change your listing in order to get a better click-through rate or get a better conversion rate. And the benefit of working with someone like us is you get access to experts at an efficient rate. You wouldn't be able to afford hiring the type of experts that we have in our team if you were to hire them full-time yourself and manage them full-time yourself. We run an internal mastermind. We hire only the best of the best on our team. And then we allocate them to brands that are qualified to be managed by us. So it's just the right move. If you are looking to have someone professionally do this and you don't want to do it yourself, it's the right thing to do. It's what I would do with my own brand.
All right. GM says I'm in probably for the challenge. Well,
Nice.
we have one more question while we are chit-chatting here. Jardon Lee wants to know, I have about 300 units left for my first 500 unit order, new product launch. Currently selling 3-4 a day, but expecting in Q4 10 units a day to sell.
That's
When
that's
and
realistic.
how much do you suggest to reorder a second batch?
Yes, that's a good question. So you're selling 3 to 4 units a day. That means that it took you about 100 days, something like that, to sell through maybe 80 days, 90 days. So somewhere on the order of 3 months to sell that. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's right. Because every 10 days you're selling 30 to 40 units. Every 100 days you're selling 300 to 400 units, and you've got 300 units left. So you've sold 200 units. Okay, so that took you 2 months. All right, so you've been selling for 2 months. You have 60% of your inventory left, right? So that means that in another 3 months, if you were going at the same rate, you would be out of stock, but you're not expecting to go at the same rate because you're still in the launch phase. So you need to ramp up your spend in order to continue ranking. And you're going to go from 3 to 4 units a day to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. And then, like you said, once you get into the holiday phase, you're going to get to 9 to 10. So you need to reorder now. You need to reorder pretty much immediately, because you're not going to continue going up to 3 to 4 units per day. In fact, probably starting in just a few weeks, you're going to be increasing that daily as time goes on. So depending on your lead time, a lot of sellers that purchase from China can expect 2 full months to go by from the time you place the order to the time it's actually checked in to the Amazon warehouse. That's a total lead time for production, packing, shipping, receiving, trucking, and then receiving again into the actual Amazon warehouse. That's usually about 60 days. So you're going to need to order that immediately, like you're already on the brink.
All right, perfect. Very good. Thank you very much, Chris. It was a pleasure. Actually, everybody who watched and you still are here, don't forget to click and like this video, and all the links related to this presentation on all the resources we mentioned, you will find below in the description. Thank you, Chris. And
Thanks,
some
bro.
of viewers will see you in the challenge. Bye-bye.
Cool. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks, everybody.
And now I would like to invite you to watch other video with Chris, where he talks about how to get cheap PPC traffic using some workarounds and loopholes.